guys, it's Phil coming back at you with another video. Today, I'm back. I'm excited. I'm pumped up. Hopefully, everyone's doing well, practicing self-care, not letting one thought, one situation, one person take them outside of what they know to be true. Today, I'm going to be sharing the free study group that I'm going to be having this Saturday, 9/3, starting at 3 p.m. Eastern time until they kick us out. They can't kick us out. I'm the host. So the beginning of the video is going to be me sharing the upcoming paid study groups that I have, walking through how to sign up for the free study group that I have this Saturday. And then the end is going to be some thoughts that I've been having. So just kind of setting the groundwork. And if you're like, man, Phil, hopefully everything's going well with you. It's getting a little bit better, but just knowing that things are still difficult. Things are still tough. Everybody's going through something. And if you've been repping and rocking with my videos, you know that a lot of health things have been going on in my family. My mom's health is still not doing the greatest. My wife's grandma passed away. So there's a lot of loss in this, but just know that as long as you stay consistent, as long as you keep the vision, as long as you keep looking at the right things will continue to happen. So continue to find the lessons and blessings in everything that you do. And if you're like, man, Phil, I want to rep and rock with you, or man, I've never seen your videos before, the easiest way to rep and rock with me is in the paid study groups that I have, and the next ones that are coming up are as follows. 9/4, the acronym and practice questions. So going over the acronym that I recommend individuals to keep in mind as they're breaking down the answer choices: safety, feelings, assess, refer, educate, advocate, facilitate, and intervene. As well as in the middle part of that section, there's going to be a motivational piece of where I'm going to be providing some guidance and tips that I find most helpful for people to keep in mind as they navigate preparing for the exam and going to the exam to kick it directly on the chest to get the job done, as well as going over practice questions related to the application and reasoning type questions. So it's going to be client scenarios that you're going to have to parse through. And a lot of times when people come into those sessions, they expect to get everything correct. But at the end of the day, the questions that I construct tend to be more difficult than the ones on the actual exam. So do not come into the session expecting to get everything correct, but have an open mind and allow for yourself to be able to recognize and apply things from that session to empower yourself to go on the exam to kick it directly on the chest to get the job done. The next one after that is 9/11, research, program development, and program evaluation. So going over different concepts of research, the steps and stages of program development, as well as program evaluation and the different types of program evaluation, as well as validity and reliability, and going over practice questions related to those. The next one after that is 9/18, client intervention. So going over individual modalities, family modalities, and practice questions related to those. And the next one after that is 9/25, going over DSM-5 children diagnoses. So going over different DSM diagnoses related to children, and then going over practice questions related to those. The next one after that is 10/2, practice questions. So it's going to be going over the 6-step process that I recommend every single person to keep in mind as they're breaking down the question, as well as going over the different types of questions that you can see, as well as same thing with the acronym and practice question session. There is going to be a motivational type piece in the middle to identify and recognize where you're at and allow for you to have the tips that I found most helpful to go into the exam to kick it directly on the chest to get the job done, as well as going over practice questions. And do not worry, the practice questions in 9/4 will be different than the practice questions in 10/2. So don't be like, oh my gosh, I wanted to attend both sessions, but are they going to be the same questions? All the sessions that I have are different questions, so because I never want somebody to attend a session and say, man, I've already seen this question. So do not worry about that. The next one after that is 10/9. It's going to be going over community intervention. So the stages and steps of community organizing, the different types of community organizing, as well as going over case management, as well as practice questions related to those. And these are the paid study groups, and they are on Sundays from 7 p.m. until they kick us out Eastern time. I try to provide an end time, but I'm always incorrect. So the sessions typically range from 3 to 4 to 5 to even 6 hours long, depending on how long it takes. And at the end of all of those sessions, there's a question and answer segment where you can directly interact with me. So if you're trying to connect with me and you can't get onto my individual tutoring calendar, the easiest way to connect with me is through the study groups. And those are, again, Sundays from 7 p.m. until I kick us out Eastern time. And if you're not able to attend the sessions live or attend the sessions at all, as long as you register, it'll add your name to the email list to be receiving the recording as well as the materials after the session to review at your own leisure, as well as I do still offer individual tutoring. So if you want to interact with me directly, the easiest way to do that is send me an email at berda24@gmail.com, or click the link down below in the description, which is under the title, and it will say view more. You click it, it'll show you the Sunday study group sign up, it'll show you the individual tutoring sign up, it'll have you show you the one-day course sign up, etc., as well as the next one-day course is going to be on 9/10. So not this Saturday, but the Saturday after that. And the one-day course has been the most successful thing that I've ever been able to do. Why? Because it's one, the most amount of time that you get with me, but two, it allows for people to better conceptualize the questions and not go with the buzzwords. You're not a bee. You're not going to get stung, not jumping to conclusions like a cat that got squirted with water, but actually giving you tangible things that you can take inside with you inside of the exam to kick it directly in the chest to get the job done. In the one-day course, starts at 11 a.m. Eastern time and goes until they kick us out. And the last couple of one-day courses have been longer than I have told people because I would rather over-deliver than under-deliver. So the last one-day courses have been 12 hours, 13 hours, 14 hours, etc. So if you're not able to actually attend the session or attend the session all the way through, as long as you register for the session, you'll be able to receive the recording as well as the materials after the session to review at your own leisure. Because I know a lot of times people will go to seminars, they'll go to workshops, and they're like, man, I'm not able to retain all the information, or man, what's going on with this? The one-day course allows for you to review it similar to the Sunday study groups as many times as you would like to. And if your exam is prior to 9/10 and you want to get a previously recorded one-day course, it's 100% possible. Send me an email at berda24@gmail.com. And if you want to register for the live session, click the link down below in the description or send me an email. I can send it to you as well. And for those that do not know, Audible's continued to partner with me on my YouTube videos and my podcast. So if you want to support me as well as support them, go to my Audible affiliate link at www.audibletrial.com/fill-in-the-gaps. Sign up for the 30-day free trial, because when you sign up for the 30-day free trial, it's the easiest way that you can rep and rock with me. But in addition to that, it allows for you to get a free book. And if you're like, man, what is Audible? Audible is an easy way to get information on the go. So if you're busy just like me, but you still want to become the best possible version of yourself, Audible is an easy way to be able to do that via audiobook. So if you're also an auditory learner similar to myself, it's way easier to listen to an audiobook on like 1.5 or 2 speed. So that way you actually retain and gain the information versus sitting down and having to pet the pages. Again, if you want to rep and rock with me, you can go and do so at my Audible affiliate link at www.audibletrial.com/fill-in-the-gaps. Sign up for the 30-day free trial. It's the easiest way that you can rep and rock with me, and it costs you absolutely nothing. If you're like, man, Phil, I want to register for the Audible trial, and I'm not really sure what book I should get, there are a couple that I would recommend, and they are as follows: The Alchemist, The Archer, Traumatized, and Outliers. Each of them have not just lessons to help you progress professionally, but personally to become the best possible version of yourself. So again, if you want to rep and rock with me, go to my Audible affiliate link at www.audibletrial.com/fill-in-the-gaps. Sign up for the 30-day free trial. And if you haven't already, hit the like button down below. It's the thumbs up button next to the title. It is the easiest way that you can allow for other social workers just like yourself rep and rock with me and go into the exam to kick it directly on the chest as well. It means more than you'll ever know. And if you have not already, leave a comment down below of like, man, I'm coming to the free session, or man, this is what I'm going through, or man, this is something positive, or man, I wish you well, etc. Because I don't know about anybody else, but I read every single comment, and your guys' words and your guys' positivity helps push me all the way through to continue coming back to give you as much as I possibly can. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button down below, hit the bell notification next to it, because it'll allow for you to know when I upload a video. It'll send you an email. You just click it, and it's the easiest way. And I appreciate every single one of you guys that have been repping and rock with me, either in my study groups, in the one-day course, individual tutoring, just watch my videos, in the free study groups, etc. Because from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate every single one of you guys. And I don't just say that because your guys' support, your guys' words, your guys' just presence is a gift and a blessing for me. And I don't take it for granted. So any way that I can help you, again, send me an email at berda24@gmail.com. Let's segue now into how to register for this free study group. Again, it is at 9/3 at 3 p.m. Eastern time until they kick us out. And this study group is going to be different than the paid study groups that I have. This study group is going to be for individuals that are feeling unmotivated related to the prep, as well as I'm having people coming back that have passed the exams share their experiences as well, because the best way that you can become the best possible version of yourself is by learning from other individuals and what worked for them, what did not work for them. But at the end of the day, you need to make sure that what you're doing is actually working with and for your situation. So again, this study group is going to be different than the paid study groups. The paid study groups go over content, information, and then practice questions. This session will go over a couple of practice questions, but be more primarily focused on people looking for guidance on how they can better prepare themselves, or they've never taken the exam before, they're kind of afraid, or they failed the exam and they're looking for additional tips on how to go to the exam to kick it directly on the chest to get the job done, as well as people that have pass their exams are going to come and share their experience as well. And the easiest way to register for the session is either one, go in the description down below where it says free study group sign up, and it'll just take you to my calendar, and then you just register for the session from there. But if you're like, man, I'm not really sure what link to click or what website it is, the website where my calendar is hosted at is fillinthegaps.as.me. And again, it is fillinthegaps.as.me, and then it will take you to the calendar page, and you'll click the free study group option. So again, fillinthegaps.as.me. So once you type in fillinthegaps.as.me, enter, it should take you to this calendar, or if you just click the link down below in the description, it'll take you to the calendar as well. This is the same calendar that is going to host my individual tutoring sessions, the one-day course, and the Sunday study groups, but you're going to click this free study group option right here. You're going to select your time zone. It's important to select whatever time zone that you're in, because the reminder emails will have the exact time that you should attend. And if you're like, all right, these are all the different time zones, I'm in Eastern time zone. And a lot of times people get trapped right here. What you need to do is hit set time zone. You will select the only date that is there. Again, it is September 3rd at 3 p.m. Eastern time. You'll hit continue. You'll enter your name. My name is Philip Luttrell. And you do not have to put your phone number, but make sure that you put the correct email address into the window. Why? Because if you put the wrong email address into the window, you're not going to get the reminder email. So you want to make sure that whatever email that you put in is the accurate email. So my email is berda24@gmail.com, and then you'll hit complete appointment, and this is going to be the link for the session. So if you're worried that you're not going to get the reminder emails or that you don't have the link for the session, this is the link for the session. So if you want to copy and paste it and put it somewhere, it's 100% possible to do so. But again, you're going to receive a 48-hour, a 24-hour, and a 1-hour reminder email. So this is all you really have to do in order to attend the free study group from Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern time, until they kick us out. And again, the length of time of the session is going to be variable depending on, one, how many people want to share their experiences of passing, but two, how many people want to share about their experiences of not passing or them feeling unmotivated, etc. So those are the instructions. Again, you're going to go to my calendar, click the free study group tab, select your time zone, hit set time zone, go on the calendar, hit the 3rd, whatever date is going to be available, and it's going to be the 3rd. You're going to click it, hit continue, you'll enter your information, hit complete appointment, and this will register you for the free study group. Again, this is going to be different than the Sunday study groups that I have, because this session will go over a couple of practice questions, but it's more primarily focused on individuals that have passed their exams, as well as individuals looking for motivation to go in to the exam to kick a Dracula in the chest to get the job done. So those are the instructions on how to register for the free study group. And for those that were just looking for how to register for the free study group, that is all the instructions that you have to follow. Is, again, go to my calendar, register for the session. You'll be sent a reminder email 48 hours, 24 hours, and 1 hour before the session. But if you're like, man, Phil, I really want to hear what you got to say. And for those that are at this point in the video, I appreciate every single one of you guys, because there have been a lot of thoughts that have been going through my mind. Like I said, I have a lot of loss going on. I have a lot of adversity going on in my life, and I always try to find a lesson and blessing in it to bring it back to you guys. But I also try to find a lesson and blessing from it to give back to myself. Because again, in order for you to be available and accepting of other people, or being open and willing to insert yourself in other people's situation, you must be willing to give yourself that same grace and give yourself that same kindness. So that's where a lot of my thoughts have been at, is, man, how are people communicating to themselves? Or, man, how am I communicating to myself? And, man, where's my energy going? Because where you put your energy is where you're going to be getting a result from. It doesn't mean that you're going for a tit for tat, but what you're investing in must be giving back to you in some way, shape, or form. And the word that came to my mind is self-resilient or self-reliant. And why I say self-reliant is because, again, we want resiliency, but again, that word self kind of gets in the way. Or self-reliant, we want to rely on things, but again, that word self gets in the way. And what do I mean by that? Because by definition, self means your perception of who you are in the spaces and places that you navigate. So the way that you view yourself and the way that you think the world views you is going to determine how reliant you are, or how resilient you are, or how successful you are in some way, shape, or form. And a lot of times people get so tied up to this notion of like, man, I got to be self-reliant. I got to be self-resilient. Like, man, I don't need to depend on anybody. Everything must be myself, and I can't really trust anybody. I can only look out for myself and do things for myself. But the problem is, people typically, based on what they go through, have started to tell lies to themselves about who they are, what they're capable of, and what individuals are saying to them and about them in some way, shape, or form. And why that's a problem is because when people start to lie on themselves, they're no longer able to rely on themselves because they've been doing all of these things for themselves, and yet they forgot why they wanted to do the things that they wanted to do. Or they don't realize that they're not in the lessons that they had before, and they're in a new space and place, and they have to identify where they want to actually go, because what used to work for you in the past may not work for you right now. And that's where I hear it all the time. Man, Phil, I don't trust myself. Man, I second guess myself. Or man, I don't believe that I can pass this test. Or man, I don't think I'm good enough. Or man, I don't think I can actually get to that next level. Or man, this person's better than me. Or man, this person said this on Facebook. Or man, this person said this on Instagram. But what all that does to you is you're invalidating who you are, and you're trying to suppress your needs to impress something or someone that is not there, and that is not going to give you the affirmation that you need. That's why I always say people that have told lies to themselves and no longer able to rely on themselves, so therefore they feel alone and all by themselves, when in reality they have all they need to develop a sense of self. Because a sense of self is simply your view of who you are and what you are capable of. But if you've let the test make you think that you're not smart enough, or if you've let your job convince you that you're not good enough, or if you've compared yourself to somebody else, you're living their dream out when you have your own mission in this world, and that you got to stay true to you. So when someone is trying to be over self-reliant, they're like, okay, I can only rely on myself. I need to be the person that's keeping everything together. I need to make sure that everyone else is okay. The problem is you are telling yourself that I'm dependable and I can get things done. Not to say you're not, but if you don't believe that you should be in the places and spaces that you're in, or if you don't believe that you got the skills and abilities to navigate your life, you being self-reliant and relying only on yourself can only take you so far. Because as an occupation, or as a profession, or as individuals, we are not wired to do things on our own. We're wired to be interacting with other people. We're wired to get support in areas that we do not feel proficient in. So don't have that perspective of like, I need to be independent. I need to be doing all these things on my own. I need to be strong all the time. What you really need to be doing is identifying, who am I? What is my motives in the things that I'm doing? Because your motives should move you. Your motives shouldn't suppress you. So if your motives are pure and your direction of why you're doing the things that you're doing are actually pure, then you need to find a way to identify, where do I need to go? And I'm not saying that because I want to be tough on people, but it is so frustrating to see amazing social workers let this test suppress who they are, or they let somebody in their life dictate where they should be. The lens in which you view something is the way that you are going to see it. But at the end of the day, perspective is the only thing that's going to determine what you actually see. Because when you're successful, or when you occupy a space and place that you don't feel like you deserve to be in, you've convinced yourself you have to fake it until you make it. You don't have to fake it until you make it. You need to practice until you become. You need to practice until it's permanent. So if you're somebody that's beating yourself down or dragging yourself down or saying, I need to be doing this all on my own, you need to ask yourself, how long am I trying to do this for? Because you can depend on yourself for a decent amount of time, but at the end of the day, we all have limitations. We all have limits. We all need somebody at some capacity. So again, don't let your accomplishments punk you out. Don't let what you've accomplished make you feel less than. Embrace where you came from. Because a lot of times people forget where they come from, or they forget what it took for them to get in the space and place that they're in, that they become arrogant and say, I need to be doing this, or I can't believe I'm getting this stuff wrong. The ASWB, their NASW, or all these people are against me. And it's like, I'm not disagreeing, but when the adversity shows up, will you be ready? Will you show up for yourself? Will you show up for everybody else? And will you have people show up for you? Because if you're in a place and space where people aren't showing up for you and providing support for you, you got to find a different environment. You got to find a place that is going to help you grow, not help you go down, in a place that you will never feel confident in yourself. Because at the end of the day, you can do this. Again, the test may make you feel less than. The test may beat you up. There's a program that may beat you up. There's other people that may not be looking out for you. But you, again, got to ask, what is my motive? Why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself through so much pain? Like, why am I investing so much money? In the end of the day, at the core of it, it's because you deserve it. You've been weighed through too much to give up. You've sacrificed too much to get to this point for you to just throw your hands up and give up. But I see it every day. Man, Phil, I failed the test. Man, I don't think I can do this. Man, I don't think social work is for me. Or man, my spouse, my partner, my friend, my colleague, my friend, all these other people are like, man, maybe you should give up. Or man, maybe you should already have gotten this done. And it's reiterating this fact that you should be more powerful and gifted than you are at this moment. Not to say you're not gifted and talented and powerful. However, you got to view your situation in the eyes and lens of the actual situation. Because a lot of times people will amplify the skills and abilities that they have. They will have a vision further along the path than they actually are, but they've forgotten what it took for them to get there. And what has helped you get to where you're at right now is because you're open, you're learning, and you're taking in the lessons and blessings of everything that you got. And I always say, man, I always try to find the positivity in everything, because the more positive thoughts, positive vibes equal positive results. But sometimes it's almost feels like it's impossible, and it feels impossible because I can't always muster up the positivity in myself. But when I communicate with another person, or I bring another person to my situation, or I trust another person to come into my situation and have the purest intentions that they have, it oftentimes makes me notice the things that I don't actually notice inside of myself. So that's why I always say, don't take things for granted. Don't be self-reliant. Rely on yourself, but you also need to rely on another person. And if you're like, man, Phil, I ain't got other people in my life. Man, I'm a solo person. Man, I have to do this all on my own. Okay, I hear you. I'm not coming from a place of privilege. I'm not a person that always has a ton of resources. I'm not a person that always has a ton of support, but you got to believe that you can actually do this. Because the first part about self-reliant is that you have to develop a sense of self where you actually have the vision and mission that you can actually get this done. But if you don't have the mission in your mind and you don't have the vision of that you can be capable of actually doing it, and if you don't have a reason to get this done, there's no reason for why you would actually sacrifice everything that you're sacrificing to get it done. Because I talk to people all the time where I'm like, man, why do you actually want to pass this test? And most people, the first thing that they say is, man, I want a better job. I want more money. And I'm like, I don't disagree with you, but money and a job is not powerful enough for you to actually get to that next level. And they're like, well, what do you mean? Because at the end of the day, you can always find a job. You can always make money. You can always give yourself a reason to postpone your goals. But when you assign it to something that you actually want, or when you put pride inside of it, or if you put your name on it, you got to make sure that it rocks directly with what you're saying with and for the situation. And that's why I always say it. Find a reason to keep going. Find a reason, even though your back is against the wall. Find a reason, even though if you feel like you're not ever going to do it. Find a reason. Because if you can identify that you want to do it, it may not be accomplished on the timeline that you're in, but you got to create it for yourself. No longer run against somebody else. No longer listen to what somebody else is telling you to do. Listen to what you think is possible and rely on yourself, but you have to rely on other individuals as well. Because if you continue to lie to yourself, if you continue to invalidate yourself, if you continue to operate in the coping skills that you had prior to all these different situations, because if you come from an environment where you were invalidated, or if you come from an environment where everybody was gunning for your head, you may be saying negative things about yourself to yourself in order for other people to not be able to say negative things about you, because you've already said it to yourself and you've already hurt yourself. So that way you conditioned yourself to actually be hardened to the message that they provided. But knowing that not everybody is in a position where they're trying to take something from you, they're trying to give back to you in some way, shape, or form. And why that's uncomfortable for a lot of people is because if you come from an environment where you've not been able to trust people, or if you come from an environment where people are pitting you against somebody else, or if you come from an environment where you never felt like you belonged, you're going to find a way that you can invalidate yourself, so you'll never belong in that situation. So that's why I always tell people, do not forget why you're doing this, because the mission and why and the reason why you actually want to do this is going to carry you through the tough times where you don't actually want to get this done. Because always having your motives pure is going to move you in the direction that you need to be at that given moment. So if you're like, man, I want to do this because I want my family to be in a better position. Man, I want to do this because I want to break the cycle of poverty. Man, I want to do this because I want to show people that come from where I come from that they can get the thing done even though they may not accomplish it the first time. Man, I want to show that my family, I want to show my kids, I want to show myself, I want to show my friend, I want to show all these things that if I do this, it's not just for me. So when you don't just rely on yourself and you rely on other people to take you through, it may be scary. You may not feel like it's comfortable, but you need to make the uncomfortable comfortable in order to become the best possible version of yourself. That's why I always say, man, the greatest loss and the greatest pain is going to create the greatest gain in some way, shape, or form. You need to find the lesson and blessing in everything, because what you view as a detriment and what you view as a negative thing in your life, there may be somebody outside of you that's like, man, I would be grateful to have that opportunity. I'd be grateful to have those things and complaints that person has. I would be grateful to have the skills and abilities that this person has had. I would be grateful to even have the opportunity that this person has been given. So don't take for granted what you got, because it could always be taken from you. Life is only so long, but we never know when life is going to be over. So that's why I'm telling you, don't start telling yourself lies, because you may be telling yourself a lie that somebody else may start reiterating to you. But when you get around the right person, they may start telling you things that you view as a lie, but they aren't telling you a direct lie. They're telling you what lies within inside of yourself, because sometimes you may not be able to see how gifted and talented you actually are. So you have to listen to the people that are actually repping and rocking and looking out for you. So that's why I always tell people, man, everything that happens to you in life is not by mistake. Everything that happens to you in life, even though it may view as a negative thing, even though it's a painful thing, it may be a way that it's going to teach you something that you need in the future in order to advocate for yourself and other people that are around you as well. That's why I always say, man, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate every single one of you guys, because I never envisioned doing this. I never envisioned being able to have individuals that are looking for guidance. I never envisioned the opportunity and the lesson and blessing that would come from this. And it's not just for me, it's for my family, it's for the people that come after me, it's for you guys, it's for everybody. So that's why I always say, man, anything that I go through, I never forget where I came from, and I never forget why I wanted to start doing this, which was to, one, provide a resource for people that may not be able to access resources, be able to provide information to people that may not be able to have access to the information, or they've never been provided the information, because the information is going to change your situation in some way, shape, or form. So that's where you always got to remind yourself, what do I know? What lens do I have? And what privileges do I have that I'm taking for granted and is viewed as a detrimental situation where somebody may otherwise view it as an upgrade for their life? So always be open, always be willing. Don't beat up on yourself. Easier said than done. But if you find yourself beating up on yourself, you got to ask yourself, why did I start doing this? What was my intentions back then? Because again, your motives should move you into positions and situations and take you in the right direction where otherwise you would not be able to see it. So if your goal is to improve yourself, why do you want to improve yourself? Where does that come from? What previous version of yourself needed you to upgrade and improve yourself in some way? And is your vision of being upgraded actually possible in the timeline that you're giving yourself? Because again, your motives need to stay true regardless of where you're at in your situation. Like I said, I started this channel because I wanted to be able to teach individuals, I wanted to be able to empower individuals, and I wanted individuals that learned just like I learn, or that didn't have money to access resources to get that done. And I've stayed true to that mission this entire time. But even deeper than that, it was because my mom had cancer and I wasn't sure how long she was going to live. I wasn't sure how long she was going to be on this planet. So I wanted to at least show that we can make an impact based on what we went through and the situations that we've been through, and show that even if you don't think that something is going to be possible, that it is. Because when she was first diagnosed, she wanted to give up. She wasn't sure what it was going to look like, but I knew that she had more inside of her that she could give to this world and give to everybody around her. So again, don't let one thought, one situation, one person, one negative, or anything take you outside of what you know to be true. That's why I said, man, what do you need? Why are you doing this? What is pushing you? Because don't let your feelings override the facts. In order for you to create a new self, you need to do an inventory of what you think about yourself. Are those things actually true? And if not, how do you get yourself to the other side of being a blessing and lesson for yourself, but other people? So that's my push. Don't just be self-reliant or self-resilient. Focus and develop a sense of self that represents who you actually are at this given moment. Not who you once used to be, but who you are right now, because you are the closest that you've ever been to being the best possible version of yourself. You're the closest that you've ever been to go into the exam to kick a directly in the chest. You're the closest that you've ever been to the job that you want to get. You're the closest that you've ever been to being the X amount of role that you want to be. Maybe it's a parent, maybe it's a sibling, maybe it's all these different things that you wanted to be better in. Do it on the timeline that you can actually get it done in. Don't beat yourself down. Don't run to something that's going to make you feel good, but make sure that what is making you feel good is not just obtainable, but sustainable. Because you want to not just obtain something, you want to sustain and maintain it to the next level that you could possibly get. So always be open and willing to take yourself to that next level. Because I was just talking to somebody today and they were like, man, Phil, why do you think people are struggling to pass this test? And I was saying, I think a lot of where it comes from is lack of information, lack of knowledge, but also people lose sight of where they're at and don't realize that them getting the privilege to actually take the exam is a privilege. And they don't realize that just because they went to a graduate school and just because they went to an internship or just because they have a successful life and successful job doesn't mean that that's going to pour into the test. You having all those things is a prerequisite to you actually being able to sit in the test, because the test doesn't care what you look like. The test doesn't care what you see. The test doesn't care what you've been through. The test is simply giving you 170 questions. The test doesn't have an emotion. The test doesn't have a motive. The test is simply saying, are you going to show up today and get the job done? So that is my push. Don't just rely on yourself, but if you have to just rely on yourself, make sure the view of yourself that you have is actually accurate. Make sure that the way that you view yourself is actually based in facts, not based in your feelings, because we're more critical of ourselves than anybody else. So don't get critical, get curious. Get an identified view of where you're coming from. Start treating yourself like you would treat a client. Start building yourself up like you would build up your support system. So again, identify why you're doing this. What are your motives behind why you're doing this? In addition to that, who are you as you're going through this process? Because we don't go through things by mistake. We don't have things happen to us by mistake. They may be a lesson and blessing in disguise that you may not actually realize it. So my push for you is to continue building yourself up. Keep becoming the best possible version of yourself. Don't let one thought, one situation, one person, even the exam take you outside of what you know to be true. Just because you didn't pass the exam or just because you don't know what the exam looks like doesn't mean that you can't get through it. Because you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. But don't lose sight of where you've been, where you come from, and what you have, because what you have, you may be taking for granted and saying, man, that's just what everybody has. But does everybody on the planet have that same access to resources? Does everybody on the planet have that appreciation? Because it's oftentimes the easiest thing to do to invalidate yourself and look over things. But remember where you started, what you have right now, and show yourself how much of an abundance that you have. So hopefully that was helpful. Keep building yourself up. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Take care, be safe, keep building yourself up. Do not allow one thought, one situation, one person take you outside of what you know to be true. And if you're going through something tough and difficult, just know that you can get through it. Don't just put your nose down and grit through it, but actually identify, how am I feeling? What is my view of myself? What am I expecting out of myself? And if what I'm expecting out of myself is outside of the realm of possibility, then I got to kind of peel it back and identify where that comes from. What makes me want to demand more out of myself than I can actually give? Because just because you want to get something doesn't mean that it's going to happen. But if you don't give up, if you keep striving and driving and thriving towards what you want to get, you will get there eventually. So don't let one thought, one situation, one person in the exam, yourself, or anybody take you outside of what you know to be true. Start viewing yourself in a more objective lens. Don't let your feelings drive you. Let the facts drive you, but let what you want to do in this world actually become a motivator for yourself, because your motives need to move you, not mobilize you and drag you down. So hopefully that was helpful. Hope to see everybody in individual tutoring, the Sunday study groups, the one-day course. If you need anything, send me an email at berda24@gmail.com. Take care. Be safe. I love every single one of you guys. I'm getting the heck out of here, and peace out, guys.